Shalom warriors, Shalom Israel partners, and welcome to Jerusalem. Yes, finally standing on the soil of Jerusalem today, actually tonight in about 2 hours or so, everything is about to stand still because tomorrow Israel commemorates the International Holocaust Day, and in Israel there's a law, even though it's a law, but everybody would act like this even if there wasn't a law. Everything will stand still from this evening. All the fun houses, all the bars and the cafes, they'll be closed tonight until tomorrow night, actually, to give the people the chance and the time to remember, to commemorate, to pray, to meditate, to remember the Holocaust that occurred in Europe in the 1930s and 40s when the Nazi beast took the lives of over 6 million Jews. This was one of the most horrific events in the history of this world, and that's what's so special about it right now, is here in Israel, throughout the nation, throughout the country, from 8 o'clock tonight until tomorrow evening, everything is going to be standing still. People are not going to go to the cinemas, people are not going to celebrate anything. It's just commemoration of these horrific events where the Jewish people lost a third of the people of the Jews throughout the world. A third of the Jews were just perished during the Holocaust, which was the most horrific genocide in the history of this world as we remember it. And tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, the nation is going to stand still for 2 minutes. The alarms will go off and everybody will stop with the cars, and whatever they were doing, they'll stand still and just go inside, reflect in themselves and remember, because everyone in the country, everybody in the nation has the heart for these events. Everybody in the nation feels the pain, and everybody in the nation and throughout the universe, the Jews throughout the universe, throughout the world, will remember the 6 million people that were so brutally slaughtered and killed, amongst them 1.5 million children. A lot of people will go to Yad Vashem. Literally, I will go also to Yad Vashem to be there, to feel. The Yad Vashem is the formal and the official memorial for the Holocaust in Jerusalem, and I'll be there also to remember my family, the people from my family, my immediate family. I don't know if you remember, years ago, Kim sent me to do a documentary back in Auschwitz in Germany, and I was standing in the soil of Auschwitz and telling you that my name, my full name, Chaim Dov, is actually the name of my great-grandpa who gone to Auschwitz and left through the chimney 37 minutes later. He didn't even have the courtesy of taking him off the carriage, taking him off the wagons and just displaying him in front of Joseph Mengele to see if he's fit to work. Maybe he could survive a few days. They had enough labor, they had enough Jews to do all this horrible work, and they took the trains all the way to the end of the tracks where my family, my immediate family, my grandfather lost 11 brothers and sisters throughout this horrific time. My grandmother lost some of her siblings and her parents. They all perished in that Holocaust. So many people from my immediate family died over there, and therefore it's just touching every life, everybody in this country, that we need to stay on the guard, to be the watchman on the wall, together with you, Christians, lovers of Israel throughout the world, to make sure that something like this shall never happen again. Not here in Israel, nowhere around the world, not to the Jewish people, not to the Christian people. They are very badly targeted by the enemies right now. You heard what happened in India, what was going on in Sri Lanka, what's happening throughout the world now. The Nazi beast and the hateful people that hates our way of life, hates our freedom. They want to kill us and destroy us. And therefore we have to always remember that we are grafted together, we're in the same boat, and we should fight this evil spirit together. So from the soul of Jerusalem, I want you all together with us, remember the 6 million Jews that died in the Holocaust, and make sure that we stand on guard for something like this to never happen to any other nation in the world. I love you a lot. Do be from Jerusalem, and I'll see you soon.
Israel Update is brought to you by the generous supporters of the Israel Partnership. Because of their love for Israel, we are able to bring you this show and continue to sow into the nation of Israel and the Jewish people. For more information on how to become a sustaining partner, please click the Israel Partner banner below.
Hi, and welcome to Israel Update. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're looking at this tragic event that took place in Jewish history, which was the Holocaust. And obviously we've heard from Dubi and we'll be hearing more from him. But I just want to speak a little bit about what the Holocaust actually was. So many people tragically in my generation and in those younger than me don't actually know about the Holocaust, and that's a very, very massive problem. One of the most important things we can do is remember. And one of the kind of the mottos that comes out of people that make it their life mission to preserve the memory of what happened is never again. That's what they say, never again, and never forget. And so I really hope that just by speaking with you for a couple of minutes about this, that it'll shed some light on the topic, and also just encourage us to know that there is a lot that we can do for people and their families that went through this tragedy. The Holocaust was the planned, systematic extermination of 6 million Jews by Hitler and his Nazi regime. And although Jews weren't the only ones targeted, they were by far the vast majority. Anyone deemed as a non-contributor to society was also killed. I'm not too sure how many people are aware of it, but 250,000 people that were part of the Roma or Sinti population who were, they were seen as gypsies, they were killed. And there was a program run called the T4 Euthanasia Program, where anybody with a physical or mental deformity was seen as a non-contributor to society, and as a result, they were also killed. And there was a lot of deceit that took place, and that's how these atrocities were able to rage on for so long. But over 100,000 people were killed in one particular place called the Hadamar Institute, where the people that had special needs were sent, and their families were told, there was some tragedy, there was a fire, and they were given all these ridiculous reasons for why their loved ones were killed, and they would be sent a box of ashes and told, we're very sorry, but your child or your loved one died. And that was all part of the extermination plan of Hitler and his Nazi regime. Labor concentration camps like Auschwitz, death camps like Majdanek, Treblinka, they were set up by Hitler, and he wanted the world to be free of any Jew. The hatred within Hitler, however, was not birthed in him initially. The original final solution has always been in the heart of Satan. All we have to do is look back at Haman, and we've come out of Purim. We've seen what took place there as we celebrate and remember what God did in delivering the Jewish people. But there has been this hatred contained within the hearts of various human vessels that have been filled with this unnatural obsession and hatred for the Jewish people, because that is what comes out of the heart of Satan. And with the Holocaust, atrocities that are genuinely too terrible to even imagine happened to millions of people. From insane medical experiments performed on men, women, and little children, to literally working people to death through forced labor and starvation, this was the Holocaust. No mercy, compassion, or value was placed upon life. It was the attempted extermination of an entire people group. Israel's survival is an absolute miracle, that out of the ashes of the Holocaust, where we know that the Second World War actually only finished in 1945, and in 1948, Israel was reborn miraculously in a day, where they were given a homeland again, these people who were coming up out of literally ashes of millions of their people, and they went on to rebuild the land of Israel that we see today, which is fulfillment of prophecy given throughout Scripture about God promising to bring the Jews back that had been exiled and to resettle them in their land that would never again be taken from them. And there's so much we need to learn about the Holocaust. There's so much we need to be educated about it. And we cannot afford to forget it. It is so important that we remember. It is so important that we teach our children and that we teach those around us. We have to remember what happened. And I think, there's a couple of important lessons that we can learn. Two that I want to look at in particular is that we have a responsibility to speak up when people are being mistreated by others. The Holocaust was allowed to happen because people stood by and observed instead of becoming involved. And whether the reasons were justified or not, fear, etc., there were all sorts of reasons as to why people stood back and were bystanders and didn't get involved. But then there are the heroes like Dietrich Bonhoeffer. There are the heroes like, the people that hid Anne Frank's family. There are the heroes that did incredible things and they put their lives on the line to try and save Jewish people. And those people are honored today. If you go to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Israel, there's this beautiful avenue of trees called the Avenue of the Righteous. And there's trees planted in remembrance of people that were prepared to risk their own lives to save Jewish lives. So firstly, we've got the responsibility to speak up when people are being mistreated. And secondly, all life is valuable. We can't make judgments about the worth of another person. Just like Hitler and Goebbels, his propaganda director, did, where they said that if you're not contributing, you have no value. We cannot make judgments about the worth of another person just because they're different to who we are. And as human beings, we have to extend grace, compassion, and kindness to other people, no matter who they are. And it's not about what we see as somebody contributing or being valuable. All life is valuable and all life is precious because it was given by God. And so now as we remember what happened, as we look back, and firstly we just see how God miraculously kept the Jewish people alive through this time of atrocity. It needs to be our mission to make sure that we stand up and speak on behalf of Israel. There are so many people out there that, will spew out hatred, and too often we keep quiet. But we have to stand up and say, hey, I love Israel, I support Israel, I stand with Israel, and that's our motto and that's our mission. And so let me encourage you. One of the ways you can do that is by partnering with us. We work with an incredible organization in Israel called the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. And one of Yael Eckstein's main missions this year is to make sure that every single survivor of the Holocaust and their families are provided for. There's incredible ways that she's doing that, and that's something that you can jump on board with us for. Bringing Jews back to Israel is another thing she's doing for people that were still scattered. And there's just so many ways that you can be involved and that you can give. So let me encourage you, give on purpose, give with joy, give with gratitude that we are alive and that we have life and that we are able to do this together as a sign to God of our love for Him and our love for His chosen people. In Hebrew, they say, Am Yisrael Chai, which means the people of Israel live, and they do live because of a supernatural God who protected them and who has caused them to rise up from the ashes and be this great army that we see today. And so thank you so much again for your support. Next week, tune in. There's another new show for you at israelupdate.org. We're looking at a spirit. We're looking at the sword of Islam. We're looking at the spirit that I believe is Antichrist, that has come to bring subjugation and domination, and the focal point of her hatred, the focal point of the spirit's wrath is Israel. It's the Jewish people.